Good morning. Welcome to United First Parish Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey, welcome to our Unitarian Universalist spiritual community. It is good to be together this morning. As we gather today, we acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Neponset Band of the Massachusetts tribe, a people who have lived here for thousands of years and who live here to this day. I'm the Reverend Rebecca Froom, lead minister here at UFPC, and my pronouns are she and her. Friends from near and far, folks joining us in our historic sanctuary or over Zoom, welcome. And a special welcome to any guests or visitors we might have with us. If this is your first or second time worshiping with us and you feel comfortable, I invite you to raise your hand up high so our ushers might bring you a token of welcome. Any first or second time visitors, hold those hands up. You're gonna get your shoulder workout today because we've got a lot of guests here. Welcome. And I imagine some of our guests are here to celebrate our music ministry with Norman Corey, our retiring music director, who's been here for 43 years. And so our worship team this morning includes many musicians. Norman Corey himself, along with his wife, Rita Corey, and their son, Jonathan Corey, both musicians who we heard from now. Jagan Nath Khalsa, our regular violinist, who's here at least once a year, is with us as well. And our United First Parish Church Choir, under the direction of our acting music director, Tony Winters, will be performing pieces today that they chose as kind of iconic pieces when they think of choir director Norman. These are some of the pieces that came to their hearts and voices. So I'm so glad everyone is here and hope that folks will join us for worship. We are in worship. Please join us for worship. Indeed, join us for our fellowship time in the parish hall after the service. As a continuation of this celebration of music and Norman's music ministry, we will have cake, we will have toasts, and it's going to be a good time. At the end of the service, after the postlude, Norman and I will stand here to greet people briefly, and then we'll gather again in the parish hall, which is through either of these doors. Our worship team, in addition to our musicians, includes our worship associate, church president, Marie-Louise Jackson Miller. We have Jordan and Izzy on the live stream team. Our flower committee, as always, has arranged beautiful flowers. So thanks to Pat and Claire and Katie for that. And our greeters and ushers here in the sanctuary include Bill and Marilyn and Albert. So thank you all. We strive to be a welcoming community to people of all ages and abilities. So in the back of the sanctuary near our ushers, you can find hearing assistance headsets and large print hymnals. Families, as always, we have a table with coloring materials and other activities that children are welcome to bring to their seats. Our restrooms are located on the lower level, which you can reach by elevator or stairs in the foyer. If you need to use the restroom during the service, please see a greeter or an usher who will escort you down. And now, as we prepare ourselves for worship, let's take a deep breath together, feeling that spirit of life and love that moves within, between, and beyond us all. With our hearts open for worship, the choir will sing us into this sacred hour here in our historic sanctuary. The piece is titled The Hourglass, and it is indeed a piece that connects us to the past as we move into the future with each moment. The words of this piece are written by our own congregational ancestor, President John Quincy Adams, a musician of his own. He played the flute. And the music John Quincy Adams chose was composed in the 16th century, possibly earlier, And today we have a contemporary arrangement done by our acting music director, Tony Winters. So choir, thank you. Chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith.
If music be the food of love, play on. Give me excess of it, that surfeiting the appetite may sicken and so die. That strain again, it had a dying fall. Oh, it came o'er my ear like the sweet sound that breathes upon a bank of violets, stealing and giving odor. Enough, no more. 'Tis not so sweet now as it was before. O Spirit of love, how quick and fresh art thou, that notwithstanding thy capacity receiveth as the sea. Naught enters there of what validity and pitch soe'er, but falls into abatement and low price, even in a minute. So full of shapes is fancy, that it alone is high fantastical. Shakespeare, Twelfth Night.
Please rise as you are willing and able, and join in reading our congregation's covenant. The words are found in your order of service. As a free fellowship of this historic church, we unite to lift our hearts and open our minds to a larger reality, to accept, support, and encourage one another, to seek the wisdom in all religions, to cherish and sustain the web of life, and to strive for justice, compassion, and peace. Let us greet one another in this spirit of fellowship and peace. As we remain standing in body or spirit, let us lift our voices in song to sing Song of Praise.
Thank you. You may be seated, and I invite our children and young people to come up for the message for all ages. And I wonder where the mystery basket is. I think it's in my office, so I will be right back. Oh, look, it's an item that doesn't fit in the mystery basket. I wonder what it is. Let's start over here. We might need a few hands. Open up that string. Let Eamon pull it out, maybe. Oh my goodness, it's coming out. What is it? It looks a little like a violin. Hold it up, but it's not. But it's not a violin. Any other guesses from the kids? Yeah.
A guitar.
Oh my goodness, it looks a little bit like a guitar. A guitar has 6 strings, and this has how many strings? 4. What do you think it is?
Ukulele.
It's a ukulele! And thank you, Micah, for lending us your ukulele. Can the kids pass it around? Yeah, and Micah's gonna let folks, if other kids want to see the ukulele, you can give it a little go. Part of being a preacher's kid is your items end up in the mystery basket regularly. So, has anyone ever seen a ukulele in this church? Yeah, I have. Once in a while, we have a guest musician named Alex Pham who comes and plays ukulele, though she also plays violin. And those are 2 instruments that Alex Pham likes, are violin and ukulele. And I wonder, kiddos, do you have any favorite instruments, either to play or listen to? Either one.
I like my finger piano.
Finger piano, awesome.
My favorite is a flute.
Is a flute, like John Quincy Adams, totally. Any other favorites?
A xylophone.
A xylophone, awesome. How about grown-ups chime in? What are some of your favorite instruments to play or listen to? Wow, this is a lot. Cello, guitar, bass. Oh my goodness, so many. I love it. The loudest instrument, whatever it is, many answers. Yeah. So today, I want us to think a little bit about some of the musical instruments that we have heard in our congregation across the centuries. And I say centuries because our congregation, pop quiz, what year was it founded? 16-something, accurate. It was founded in 1639, which means we just had our 386th birthday, and we look good. We've met in 4 different buildings over the centuries, and we've had lots of different music in our space. Now, the first instrument was one that I didn't hear you say, and yet I heard everyone say. What is voices? The human voice. It's the first instrument. Our Congregationalist ancestors, known as Puritans, they did sing. In spite of what we think of them, they did sing. They sang a lot of poetry from the Psalms, and they sang it a cappella with someone leading familiar tunes. And then, over the centuries, folks were like, singing's great, let's also have musical instruments. So the first musical instrument that we know for sure was played in this congregation was string instruments. In the mid-1700s, there was a string ensemble, probably formed by the congregants. The congregation itself owned the double upright bass, because that is a big instrument to bring from your farm to church. And probably violins and violas, and maybe even a cello might have been brought back and forth. So that double bass made its way from the Hancock Meeting House, which was just next to this current building, to this building when it was built in 1828. And then in 1837, they sold that instrument in order to have money to buy the congregation's very first organ in 1837 in Appleton, Oregon. Now, a couple decades later, they were like, well, we want something with a sub-bass. We've heard this in cars, right? We want something with a sub-bass for the organ. So they got a new organ in 1851. And is that the organ we have here in this sanctuary? No. They wanted, that organ started to get a little that organ started to not do so well, and so they raised more and got this 1909 Hook and Hastings organ that we see here in the sanctuary. One of the things I love about an organ is you play it with a keyboard, but it's actually a wind instrument, like a flute, but a lot bigger. So we've used this organ for over 100 years. It's been rebuilt at least once in the 1970s, I think also the 1940s. And Is the organ the only instrument in our building? No. What other instruments do we have? I love this pop quiz.
A piano.
How many? We have 3 pianos, 2 in this room, 1 in the parish hall, plus a keyboard downstairs, which we sometimes use outside. Any other instruments that live in our building? Organ, 3 pianos, and a keyboard. Bells. Yeah, we have our church bell on the steeple, and also
In the room where the kids go, there's cymbals.
in the room where the kids go, there's cymbals. Awesome. And in this room, there's the meditation bell.
Maracas.
There's maracas. There's a whole basket of percussion instruments that's in the spirit circle area. Standing up. And of course, our human voices. So thank you all for listening to this kind of musical history of some of the different instruments that have been played in our sanctuary by our congregation. Plus, we've also had guest musicians like violinists and a harp player and horn players, and yes, a ukulele player. So, as a community of creative expression in the arts, our children are going to head downstairs for their Spirit Circle program with Max. Today it is an art program, and let us sing them all on their way. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go. Through the sharing of our joys and our sorrows, we create a sacred space where we are deeply present with ourselves and one another. This is a time for us to briefly share those life milestones that lift our spirits with joy or hope, or those pains and losses that fill us with heartache. If you have a joy or a sorrow to share, in a moment, please come forward to this microphone. Alternatively, you can raise your hand and Marilyn will bring the handheld microphone to you. And when you share your joy or sorrow, please first say your name so that we might all know and hear you. As we begin our sharing, we light a candle of joy, knowing that a joy shared is a joy magnified. And we also light a candle of sorrow, knowing that a sorrow shared is a burden lightened. I begin by sharing a sorrow on behalf of G. Fred Shepherd, a final candle of representing all of those sorrows and all of those joys that we hold silently in the sanctuary of our hearts. May the light of these candles and the compassion of this community remind us that wherever we are on our journey, each of us is worthy of love, and each of us is able to love. Let us take a deep breath together, feeling again that spirit of life and love that is always there to ground and guide us. Breathe in, breathe out, appreciating the gift of this day, the gift of your own body, as we enter a time of shared meditation. Will you lift your hearts and join me in the spirit of prayer, listening in these words for the language of faith most meaningful to you? Our prayer includes words by Douglas Taylor. Eternal Spirit, from whom all things come and to whom all things return, we gather this morning in community, seeking to live in harmony, each of us gathered here out our own lives, knowing our own story, our own private melody. Some of us arrive with sweet melodies of joy, affirmation of friendships, the joy in witnessing milestones in one another's lives, the joy of being aware of the beauty of the earth in this season. And some of us arrive with sorrowful melodies, carrying losses with us of loved ones, carrying concern for loved ones who are sick or injured. May they all know peace, know healing when possible, know comfort, and remember they are loved. And some of us come with a blend of harmonies in times of transition, changing jobs, changing homes, changing identities. We know that life itself is change. May we be gentle with ourselves and one another amidst the changes of life. May there be times of gentle tones and soothing melodies. May there be rhythms upon which we can rely to rally our spirits at need. May there be teachers and bandmates, fans and good companions to help call our best music out of us. O Spirit of life, may our song be among the songs of the Spirit. May there be beauty in our song and in our living. May there be meaning and power in our song. And may our individual voices blend into the chorus that affirms that love is at the center of life. This we ask in the name of all that is holy. Amen, and blessed be. As you remain seated, will you join me in singing hymn number 16, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple"? What music have you found meaningful in your life? Take a moment. Pause and remember a time or three of a moving musical experience in your life. When I think of the gift of music in my own life, I think of a beautiful performance of Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue by the Philadelphia Orchestra in an outdoor theater on a summer's night. And the alternative rock over the radio in my teen years that deeply resonated for me. I think of playlists created by friends for long road trips and sharing a hymnal with my mom in church. I think of the songs I belted out in musicals and the justice-seeking songs sung at protests and rallies and vigils. I think of the songs I sang to my baby as I rocked my child to sleep, and the song we sang at the ocean's edge when we scattered my father's ashes the year after he died. In a poem titled "We Are Music," Renee Ruchatsky writes, "Our first breath is followed by our first song, lusty and loud and primal, a solo that announces to the world, I have arrived. We are music." As toddlers hearing our first reggae beat, we let our spines and hips bend and sway in response, as natural as the beat of our hearts. We are the music. The drone of the bass notes of the church organ, a vibration in our chests, tense muscles relax, the breath deepens. We are music. As we push the air from our bellies out through the chest and the throat, our changing expressions shape the sound. We are music. As we sing together, voices blend to create a harmony, each voice enriched by its connection to the next. We are the music. What a gift music is to us. The music that enlivens our senses, that connects us to one another, that marks those milestone moments in our lives. What a gift music is. And what a gift it is to experience and create music together in this faith community, in this epic room. We live in a time where you can play any music you want with the touch of a finger on a screen. And yet, there is something deeply ingrained in us as humans to experience and make music together, in person, to feel it in our bodies as well as our spirits. What it is, what a gift it is to have these opportunities here in this congregation to make music, create music, share music. May we share the gift of music with one another, in the stories we share of our lives, and in the music we create together. Later in the service, after our musical interlude, we'll hear from two folks about the gift of music in this sanctuary, the gift of performing and the gift of singing. And first, let us experience the gift of listening. I invite Jagan Nath Khalsa to share on the gift of performing.
Thank you, Reverend Becca. I've performed all my life. I didn't come into my own until rather later. It was learning the violin and then orchestra and private lessons. And then I had a marvelous experience, church-oriented, you might say, when I was a sophomore in college and somebody needed a group to support their PhD doctoral concert. It was a Bach motet and a Bach cantata. And I was in this grand church at St. Louis University, Jesuit organization. And the choir was like angels. And my voice was just a string quartet plus organ. And it really set my compass in life. Then I played for Methodist Church, and that's when I played with the organ as an accompanying instrument. And somebody gave me a recorder, a cassette recorder, anonymous gift. And for the first time I heard what I was putting out. And I was amazed, not because I was so great as great artists, but simply because it was my own voice. And every musician needs to have an attentive listener, an appreciative listener, where they see the good and they appreciate every bit of goodness. And there's the grain in the chaff. The chaff is less significant. So that has been my pleasure all the rest of my life. Here in the year 2000, through Rita, I met Norman and played at Thanksgiving season. It's once a year. And that was a time when the church was under renovation. There were jacks from the subfloor all the way up into the ceiling, holding up the old wood beams so that they could replace the steel girders. And it was up in the choir loft. And the same experience I had, a beautiful choir, playing with other musicians, satisfied my soul. And to this day, that's what I love doing. I don't like sitting at home in my living room just practicing for myself. I love being with other people and feeling their inspiration and working on little details that makes something sound perfect, even though we're not perfect in general. You can make a moment of perfection that rings, and it satisfies everybody's desire for that momentary pause, a little bit of a hold, a little bit of a breath. I've also found that sometimes the simplest tunes are the most well received and understood. For instance, like Going Home from the New World Symphony. Dee, 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 dee. And yet, the pull of Johann Sebastian Bach has been a huge inspiration for me all my life. And my wife says that maybe it's the heartbeat of some of the rhythms, the slow tempos, that make people feel this feeling of comfort and warmth. So I will be playing a most iconic piece in a moment after the next speaker, Air in G, which is from one of his orchestral suites. And it was probably the first serious piece that I studied, and probably the first piece that I played with Norman when I first appeared here. It's a universal piece. It's Johann Sebastian Bach. So mathematical, so complicated technically, but you don't have to understand any of that to feel the spirit in it. So in a moment, I hope another little bit of magic. That is music. Thank you.
And I invite Anne Marie Willer to share on the gift of singing.
Good morning. Reverend Rebecca asked me to reflect on my personal and spiritual experiences singing here in our UFPC sanctuary. And for context, I could reach back to my graduate studies in music history and tell you about the fundamental role of music in the expression of spirituality and community across the ages and across cultures. But I've bet that you have felt it yourself. Maybe you too have been transported by a gorgeously sung solo or captivated by the overwhelming crescendo of an orchestra. My first exposure to this magic that is music was when I was a kid. And my favorite part of Sunday church service was singing the hymns next to my mother in the pew. The doctrine did not really speak to me, but the harmony could and did touch my soul and move me to tears. My experience of spirituality at that church was very centered in the music. My mom enrolled me in the church's children's choir and later the youth choir, and these were my first opportunities to perform in front of others and to share the power of singing in a group. And I joined a UU church as an adult, and I enjoyed learning all the new hymns. And many of you have probably had this sort of peculiar experience of discovering all these new words to hymns that you may have learned in a different tradition. Yeah, I'm seeing the nods. But now those hymns are familiar friends to me, and they have a presence in my life even outside of church. I sing them in the kitchen. If you've ever sat behind me during a church service, you may have noticed that my spouse Lee and I sing hymns with our arms wrapped around each other's waists. It's very snug. And we have sung this way in church for over 25 years. And it is a precious and beautiful moment to commune and harmonize with my beloved in the pews. I've sung in the church choir for perhaps 10 of the 20 years that I've attended UFPC. This is the first and only choir I've ever joined as an adult. And I've enjoyed the different viewpoints that being in choir provides. There's this amazing morning light through the windows when you get here early for rehearsal. And there's this bird's eye view of the service if we're singing up in the choir loft. And then there's the opportunities to see all of your beautiful faces during the times when the choir was actually seated up here and we were facing the congregation for the whole service. So we saw everything. It was very interesting variety. So I'm not a trained vocalist by any means, but I can read music, I can carry a tune, and I'm happy to join with the others to bring the magic of music into our Sunday services. And I want to encourage you all to join in this magic by singing your heart out when the congregation sings hymns, because a performance does not need to be perfect to be meaningful. The congregation sings hymns together because then any one of us can screw up or skip over the high notes and it still sounds okay. So the heartfelt harmonies and the vibrating connections between us are the Spirit. And when we let go of our self-consciousness and raise our voices together, you can feel it from your head to your toes. In fact, I'm getting goosebumps right now. We do that when we sing together. And to me, that is the gift of singing.
So Norman, I'm going to invite you out from behind the piano.
The life of our religious community flows like music itself, ever changing with new voices, new visions, and new possibilities. Today, we mark such a transition as our music director, Norman Corey, retires from the position he has held in our church for 43 years.
So Norman, you have shepherded our music through seasons of beauty and challenge and change. You've worked with, I believe, 5 ministers, probably around 20 church presidents, plus, some other presidents. You've directed choirs of various sizes and even led some virtual choir pieces during the more than 1 year we worshiped over Zoom. You've collaborated with musicians on a myriad of instruments, and you were part of our early work to become a welcoming congregation and supported our work for LGBTQIA+ inclusivity when we renewed our welcoming congregation commitment 9 years ago. You've been there to provide music during our memorial services and weddings and child dedications. Your music, a witness to our lives.
For this, we thank you.
And while the departure of a beloved leader leaves an echo in our hearts, we must open our hands in release. Norman, we are grateful for your musical gifts and leadership. May you find joy and spaciousness in your retirement from your work as a church musician.
Members and friends of United First Parish Church, do you release Norman Corey from his role as music director? Please respond, we do.
And today we mark an ending, but also a beginning.
The Board of Governors has voted to extend Norman the title and role of Music Director Emeritus in honor of his decades of musical service. In this role, Norman will continue to have access to the building and play the organ for his own artistic fulfillment, and perhaps even for an occasional service or special event. And in this role, Norman will respect the leadership of all future music directors.
So Norman, in honor of your years of musical service and entry into the role of music director, we have several gifts for you, and some of them are forthcoming. As recognition of your status as music director emeritus, we're going to get a small brass plaque to go up there on the outside of the organ to recognize your work. And we are getting you a framed piece of art that has a picture of both the church and the organ. And as both literal and symbolic recognition of your continued access to the building, a shiny new key, a shiny new key to the building. Friends on the journey, let us join in blessing Norman Corey, Music Director Emeritus. Please place one hand over your heart and extend the other hand up. Spirit of life and love, we have been transformed by Norman's presence and gifts. May he go forth into this next chapter of his life with our love and our blessing. Thank you, Norman. You are a gift. Amen.
Thank you.
And blessed be. And we have more music to come. Norman, when I spoke to him about his favorite hymns in planning this service, he shared the names of 2 hymns dear to him from the Pilgrim hymnal that he recalls from the Baptist church of his childhood. Once, to every man and nation, and also, I sing a song of God. And from our Unitarian Universalist hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition, and Norman has been here longer than when that hymnal came out in the 1980s, and the supplement in 2005, but from Singing the Living Tradition, Norman especially finds meanings in the hymns Light of Ages and of Nations, as well as And It Sounds Along the Ages. So please rise in body or spirit to sing one of Norman's favorite hymns, number 187, It Sounds Along the Ages. seated.
We drink from wells we did not dig, and we worship in a sanctuary we did not build. As a voluntary association, our church is sustained through the gifts of the members and friends of our congregation, past and present. In the words of Kristen Collins, we give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. You can give online by going to ufpc.org and clicking on the donate button, or placing a contribution in the offering plate. If this is your first time worshiping with us, please let the offering plate pass you by. Your presence here today is your gift to us, and we hope you will join us following the service for social hour. May the ushers come forward for the morning offering to support the good works of United First Parish Church. May it be joyfully given, and know that it will be gratefully received.
Here at United First Parish Church, we gather in many ways. You can read about our ongoing and upcoming programs in your announcement insert. We are at the start of a beautiful, wonderful, busy, celebratory week of special events. So today, again, during social hour, we'll be having cake and toast to continue to celebrate Norman. On Thursday at noon, we are holding our annual John Adams Presidential Wreath Laying Ceremony. And then on Saturday at 3 p.m., we are hosting the ordination of Shiloh Hoffman, our former ministerial intern, on the day where they officially become the Reverend Shiloh Hoffman. We're co-hosting that with First Parish Bridgewater, so we are having 2 gifts, 2 choirs, double the fun. It's going to be a beautiful service, so please do come to that, and thank you to the many folks who are working hard to make that happen. And then, we still have Sunday next week, and it's All Souls Day next Sunday. So we are continuing our annual tradition of inviting people to bring in a photo or a memento of a loved one to place on the side table here, where we will create an altar of remembrance. So please consider doing that when you return next Sunday. And now I invite you to rise as you are willing and able. Take a deep breath and place your hands over your heart for our words of benediction. Words written by Matt Meyer. May we go forward in purposeful rhythm, that we may give voice to the melody of our imagination, the music of our souls, and the possibilities of a just world, as we might together create it. May we go in peace and go in love to be a blessing to the world. Amen. And I invite you to turn towards the center aisle and offer one another a sung benediction as we extinguish the chalice. You may be seated, and blessed be.